everyone, welcome to another episode of High Energy Girl. And today I'm really excited to have Leanne Thomas, who is one of my teachers and a psychic medium who does a lot of work in the angelic realm. She is really awesome. So I'm going to tell you a little story first. So back in August, I booked an appointment via her website. And the soonest I could get in was December 16th. Kid you not, it took me that long to get in with her. And on December 2nd, I was driving to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, and I was imagining in my head or just thinking out loud or thinking in my head that, oh my gosh, I really need to get into her sooner. I cannot wait till December 16th. And lo and behold, I kid you not, I get home and my emails, I checked them after I took my shower from the gym, and it was around 7:30 maybe in the morning, and there was an email from Leanne saying, hey, can you come in on Thursday instead, just 2 days later? And at that time, she had no idea who I was. She didn't know anything about me, but she said that she had woken up in the morning and was told by the angelic realm to get in touch with me right away. And from that day forward, I thought this chick is the real deal. And I've taken several of her classes and workshops, and I'm super excited to be honored to be invited to her upcoming Angel Academy. And I can't wait for you to meet her. So let's go and say hello to Leanne. Hey everyone, welcome to High Energy Girl, a podcast helping women to age stronger because it is never too late to get fit, be strong, and feel sexy. I'm your host, Tracy Gluhite, health coach and personal trainer and founder of highenergygirl.com. Each week, we will either have a guest interview, which will provide you encouragement or an actionable tip to help you age stronger, or I will do a solo episode. Please also join our awesome Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and I'm looking forward to see you on the inside of that group and hope you enjoy today's show. Guess what, everyone? My book is out. It is a revised and updated edition of a book I wrote 5 years ago called No Frickin' Way, 21 Days to Ditch the Diet and Lose Weight the Keto Way by Loving Yourself to Health. When I first wrote the original book, I was not a believer in the low-carb movement, but after all the years of research I've done, I am sold out for life. In this book, you will learn about all the lies you have been fed, how to engage in loving self-care, how to eat nourishing foods that provide massive energy, why the ketogenic diet is not a fad, how to heal your body through fasting, why you should move your body to get stronger, and how to create an empowering mindset. Start reading now and finally achieve the high energy and positive body image you deserve. Check it out on Kindle, on Amazon. And if you like it, please leave us a review because this will help more people find it. I really want to inspire people to not deprive themselves, but to nourish themselves with loving self-care and amazingly healthy food so that they can age stronger. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. Hey, Leanne, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with you, Tracy.
Well, you are one of the people that I consider to be my mentors. And so I'm so honored to be able to share you, your vision, your expertise, your whole thing with my audience, because I actually think not only will it help them see things more clearly, but it also will help them get to know like the path that I'm on right now, which I'm so excited. So why don't you tell them a little bit about you?
Okay, well, I always like to start with that, like, I'm a mom and a wife, like I'm a normal, regular person. I was a school teacher for about 20 years. I have 2 Master of Arts degrees in education, and I kind of came into the world of spirituality. I was born this way, always saw things, new things from the time I was very small, from the time I can remember, since I have memories. But I kind of came kicking and screaming to the life of spirituality. I wanted to be normal girl. And so that's why I pursued education and normal pursuits. And I just wasn't cut out to be normal. And so in my early 30s, the spirit world just came at me like gangbusters. And I went on a discovery. Since I am kind of like logically minded as a person, I pursued it from study and reading books and looking into people and could this be real? And I'm looking into like ancient biblical text on things related to spirituality and the walk of Christ and Jesus. And it just led me on this path of discovering authentically the intuitive side that I had, a strong connection to the spirit world as a medium. And I've always connected to angels. So it wasn't really until my 30s that I owned that authentic side of myself. And then I worked for years kind of working at them both. Teacher by day, medium by night kind of thing. I always say like I put my superhero cape on after, 5 p.m. in the evening and give people readings and connect them to their loved ones in the afterlife or messages from the angels. So my journey was kind of a lifelong one, and there was exploration. So even the idea of me, when I was owning my gifts, I really need to believe in it. I needed to prove it to myself. Like I prove it to every client that I read for, the evidence that comes through and the names, the dates, the things like that in a session or a reading. But I needed to prove it for myself when I was getting going. So I've been taken on to locations and blindfolded to pick up on the energy or spirits that were there. I have been blind tested, if you will, by more than one group that does this kind of thing to authenticate someone's gift. And most recently, in I think it was 2016, Marianne Bohr, who wrote this book, The Gift Within Us, that anyone can go on Amazon and find the copy of this book. But she had got my name from people that were in the research spiritual community because I had been tested and certified and walked through it all, if you will. And so she got my name, called me up, said that she was writing this book and wanted to put me through tests again. And I was like, I've been through everything, might as well. So I was tested again. And so she found 33 people, including me, that she felt were authentic, true, and highly gifted individuals of different types that are in this book. But, with my journey and being tested over and over again, it proved it to me. And so I did leave teaching at some point a few years back and just pursued this full time, and it's continuing to grow. And just kind of like a little bit of leaking a secret, I am currently looking for an office space in the Fresno, Clovis, Madera area of the Central Valley in California to expand, since I have large groups of people that don't, they need someone authentic and genuine in that area. So I'm currently working with a real estate agent to like spend some time out there. So we'll see what happens.
But you're not moving.
No, I won't be moving 100% for sure. I will just kind of have some office hours every so many weeks in that area to do groups, audience events, and some one-on-one sessions.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, now that I found this hidden little jewel of you, I'm not about ready to let you leave. That's awesome.
Fair enough.
So I'd love to talk about, I've taken a lot of your classes and I've learned a lot from you in the recent 6 months or so. But what types of things do you find would help people right now in our current, state of life, the way things is, that they could draw from perhaps their intuition or just like some helpful hints for people if they just kind of want to get their feet wet here?
Right. So I would never discourage people from meditating. It's always something good to do, just for stress relief or things like that. But outside of, say, meditation, there are things we can do. And one of the most powerful things that can be done is intention setting. And so I encourage people all the time to set intentions for goals or dreams or things that they want to align with. And the wonderful thing is that there are angels in our spirit team that we all have. We don't even need to know who they are, that will support us in getting in alignment with the things that we really want. And you'll always know that you're in alignment with things that you want, or the movements happening is when you feel inspired to action. And so our manifestations don't require action. That's something that happens as we become in alignment and we're inspired. We want to take action, or we get that random phone call like I did for Marianne. Wasn't expecting it to be, to have any, wasn't on my radar, if you will, to have a connection to Marianne Bohr, who wrote the book, The Gift Within Us. But I had set intentions and goals to reach more people with my spiritual gifts. And so that's one of the ways it became an alignment. And it wasn't work. It wasn't hard work. I didn't call her up. I wasn't looking for her. I wasn't pushing. Now, I don't mind pushing. I don't mind making phone calls and pursuing things when it feels good or fun, like at least 80% of what it is. It needs to be inspired. Mm-hmm. And that's what intention setting does. And so if anybody's listening right now and they're like, well, how do I set an intention? It's just so super easy. I sit down with paper and I like to write it down, but you can speak it into action. You can just say the words. My intention is to become a healthier person. My intention is to become more intuitive. My intention is, and you just put the intention out there and then you watch for the inspirations. Now, we can use motivation with all of that, and that's not a bad thing, but motivation usually requires a push of some kind. And the initial push should feel somewhat that it flows into some kind of inspiration. Because if it stays painfully hard, then we need to be mindful of that. We're not really stepping into the alignment and the flow, and we need to revisit our intentions. Now, people miss out on a beautiful opportunity of prayer, and I'm prayerful. And prayer is 100% connected to intention when we don't put it in a fearful way. So let's say intention, super easy to do to set them, right? And then we watch the flow. We watch the love of it. We watch the things that show up in our lives. We connect to it. We don't let fear get in the way. Prayer is a nice complement to that. We all can do that without hard work. We can set a prayer forward, but we pray in the positive. We're praying for good things to happen. We're praying for this to sort out that our creative God source brings us the love of our life, and that they bring us somebody just like this, or that they bring my body back into a perfect state of being. One of the things too, besides like say intention setting and say prayerfulness, is also the idea of revisiting our youth with a picture from when we were younger, when we had hopes and dreams. So you get out pictures of yourself when you were in a really great state of being. So I was a child of the 80s, and maybe I didn't have fabulous hair or the best. So you look past that and you look back to the state of being when you had really good wellness. Your body felt good, right? For most of us. So you pick a time frame in your teenage years, maybe your early 20s. For some of us, it might have been our 30s when we first got married or things like that, that connected us to this sense of well-being. So find pictures of yourself with a sense of well-being in them. Maybe you were an athlete at one time in your life, or you did something where you're graduating, you could see yourself in your cap and gown, and you had, great connections to your education, those good times, and you put pictures of yourself feeling your best to help you with manifestations. You remember the dreams and goals of when you were younger and when you felt good. You didn't have the creaks or the aches or the pains or, and overall I feel really good, but I do this. I remember what it's like constantly to be in that state of well-being and the dreams that I had as a young person, and that I didn't feel, why couldn't I have had them? And then I remind myself now that I can have them. So you set intentions, you add prayer, and you remember your best self, your wellness, your most feeling good. And that's the first place to start for anybody with a health issue, or if you're concerned about, any kind of fears or finances or, viruses or anything like that could be going on for people right now. When you remember your state of well-beingness, and, for some people, they need to get out a picture from when they were 5 years old. And, for some, it's much older. And so it's like choosing pictures and seeing yourself in that magical, those times, a picture of yourself at Disneyland Remember that? Like that feeling of how excited it was to be there? Those feelings can come back and help you manifest what you want in today's world. And then call in the angels. You don't have to know what angels that there are. The angels don't care if you know their name or how they're supposed to help you. They'll know what to do, and they'll know who to send to help you manifest it. Because we'll get in our own way, won't we? We'll have some fears, or we'll have things that stop us from taking action. We'll have our twos. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too this, I'm too, I'm broke. Whatever it is that gets in our way. And that can slow down a manifestation. It doesn't mean that it won't happen, that you won't have a goal or a dream met, but it slows it down. And the angels can help us do a workaround to get past some of those things. So for people, I always tell them, all you have to say is, God, please send your angels that will help me with my abundance, my finances, my relationships, my health, my whatever it is. And then you remember yourself at a really good state of being, that healthy point.
I love that. I haven't heard you say that before about showing or looking at like your past self, because let me see if I can summarize this. So basically, when you look at a picture of you at your best, it will increase your joy and your vibration, so then you're able to attract that again. Is that
because it's you and you have a memory to that, right? It's not like a pie in the sky or only for, the rich people or the movie stars or the models or, the person that's already reached fame. You remember your inner joy and your inner light, because each and every one of us is valuable. We are amazing children of God. And it might not be everyone's goal to become famous. And let's just face it, that comes with pitfalls too, right? But who doesn't want their absolute best life? Who doesn't want abundance and what feels good to them, or health that feels good to them, or relationships that are positive and uplifting? We can all reach those.
Yeah, that is so cool. So the step one is setting the intention. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Set intentions. Start there. You got to get clear with what you want. If you don't even know what you want, and you can keep it in a broader sense. Keep it general at first, right? Like maybe it's health, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's abundance, or it's a new career dream, but you're not sure which way to go with career. It's okay. You just say career. You don't do your head in about it. Set the intention. If you can, or over time as you get clearer, you can add to the intention. Then you set little mini goals with it, and little actions that you start to see yourself taking because you feel inspired, not because it's painful.
So how do you discern the difference between the answer to the angels or to God, like those answers that you're coming in, or something you just made up in your head?
Well, see, that's the thing. Discerning between the difference usually will be if I'm in fear, or the idea of something coming to me and I'm fearful, or it brings about fear or anxiety, then it's from my ego self. But if it's something that is like uplifting, is exciting to feel, it may feel like, how can that ever happen? And then you'll watch how things shift. You don't have to have the answer of how, but you'll know because you're not in fear. You'll know because on some level, it definitely feels right. It doesn't come with like shame, right? It doesn't come with blame or shame or those negative feelings that we have. That's called being in alignment and moving into your flow with the intentions that you're setting, or with the intuitive hits that we're getting. Any intuitive hit that comes with shame, or blame or hate or anger is not of divine guidance.
Okay. That's good to know. So basically gauge how you're feeling, and then that will be your guide, like to decide.
Yeah. And you have to be aware that your ego can kick in to keep you small, right? But an initial idea or a feeling can take us to this place up here. where we feel like joyful or excited or that's amazing, those kinds of feelings for our own personal self, regardless of how anybody else may perceive them. And your ego can kick in to say, well, you're not good enough, or you're too fat, or you're too old now, or you're too this now. That's where you push past it. And that's where you say, if God wills it, I'm willing to take the action steps or follow through. Say if somebody randomly calls you, or like how you reached out today, like, for the interview's sake kinds of things. What a blessing for me. And see, it's not about fame. It's not about like reaching like 100 million people or something like that. If it's 5, if it's 1,000, that's fantastic. That's what I asked for.
That's
so I
so
say
cool.
that, right? But I could also say like, oh, I don't know, like I'm afraid, or what if, people look at me and think I'm too old or whatever, right? Like those kinds of things. That none of that should stop us.
Mm-hmm. I
It's
love
divine.
and I love how you brought in the ego. So can you explain for people who don't know what an ego is? Can you explain like the others or whatever?
Well, we all have a consciousness, and our consciousness really functions on 2 levels, probably more than that, but I'm going to break it down that way. And so our consciousness focus, when it connects to our soul and it connects to the greater good, all that's out there, the mass kinds of intellect that exists in the universe. And then there's the side of ourselves that's the ego side that we do need on a lot of levels. We need the ego, but the ego side can kick in to bring in the things that keep us small or fearful or anxious, or bring us into further depression. Depression happens for multiple reasons. It's not just the ego, but certainly the ego can feed it, if you will. So it's part of our consciousness that lowers our energy and our vibration to keep us small. There are times when the ego can keep us safe, but when we're understanding and we work with consciousness in more than one way, the recognizing of ego, we can see when it's not keeping us safe, it's just keeping us small.
Ah. And then what about the critic? Is that different than the ego?
It's part of the ego. And so the ego exists, an inflated ego, right? Like that, like I'm fabulous, I'm amazing, I'm a psychopath, like the inflated ego kind of thing. But most of us work with the small ego, that side of ourselves that tells us that we can't for some reason, or we shouldn't take a leap of faith and be brave and try a new job, because what if we lose it and then we're poor and then we're see, our brain takes us to, I'm going to lose the job, then I'm going to become poor, then I'm going to become homeless, then I won't have anything to eat, and then I won't. See, we go down this road. That's the ego when it kicks in to keep us from having more out of life that we want. But the ego also helps us to strategize. It helps us to plan ahead. It helps us to put steps in place that keep us going. So the ego can be used to our benefit as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So then if you want to know something, so we oftentimes pray, right? We just pray and ask. And I find that oftentimes we don't take the time to sit and listen to the answers of the prayer. But what tips would you have for somebody who's seeking answers?
So the answers can come in a multitude of ways. And so one of the best ways is to learn to go quiet through meditation. But you and I both know that for so many people, getting the mind to slow down and be quiet is difficult. So we have to find strategies or ways to reach in, and sometimes even tools. One of the things can be to pay attention to music. Music, our spirit team, meaning that there's guides, spirit guides, there's angels, and there's our loved ones that are all around us that are sending us signs, symbols, and messages. And one of the way can be through music. Music can be sending us inspirations, getting us through a difficult time. You hear a song and it changes your vibration and your energy. It helps you have better or positive thoughts. So music is one way, putting music on to get signs for things. One is also watching what shows up on your path, hearing over and over again about a book, being in line, whether it's at the grocery store, Starbucks, or whatever, and you overhear something about, a podcast, if you will, or, whatever it is that you're reaching for, you hear for something. It's seeing the connections happen for you. Somebody messages you on Facebook about something, or you see recurring messages that way, billboard signs, different ways that things can come to you. And there are tools out there to help us receive messages for ourselves. We can use oracle and angel cards as well to help get those messages. I also love the idea of using a pendulum. That's another fantastic way. And one of the things that I teach my students to do is to create a language with your spirit team, with God, the angels. And so that's called our symbol journal. And so there are images and symbols and pictures and things that can come forward to us, and we can begin to create that language with them, so we have a quick and fast understanding of why we might see things. Now, not everybody's visual, right? So that's where music kicks in, and also the idea of helping yourself become more visual. So keeping a journal, you might have a running list of words, and connected to that word would be an association of a symbol, a picture, an image, an emoji, something like that, right? So if I was to say to someone, birthday, what's the first image that you would see in your mind?
A birthday cake.
A birthday cake. So for you, that's your language when something's about a birthday, right? You might be standing and talking to somebody and you start to see a birthday cake, but see, you've created the symbol. You've created a running list of things, so your intuitive hits get a little stronger. You might be folding the laundry and you start to get a song running through your head about something. And it may have something to do with, 8675309. And you're getting a number, a phone call, and the word Jenny comes up. And you're like, oh, my friend Jenny, I need to, reach out to her in some way. I mean, it's really amazing how there's really no coincidence, and the synchronicities that can line up when we're paying attention. And when we follow through with them, we get more, right? So folding the laundry, walking your dog, taking a workout, music can hit us. Pictures and symbols can hit us. If you work on that journal and creating those images, it comes faster and it comes harder. Angel cards is a great tool. Oracle cards is a great tool to use, and anybody can use them. It's nice to have a class. It's nice to have learning that goes with it, but anybody certainly could. And that's not just for those that are already intuitive. But the truth is, everybody is on some level. So there are so many ways to get us connected in. Tuned in, tapped in is a phrase that we'll hear a lot for people that are talking about manifesting and things. And it's just an effort. And, set the intention to do it. Start back there.
That is awesome. And then, okay, so if they want, what's the difference between angel and oracle cards?
Not really a whole lot. So the theme around an angel card will be the angels, typically the archangels, but it doesn't have to be archangels. And an oracle card might have more of a generic theme to it, or more of a general theme through guidance. And so they're often set forward in guidance, and they can be set up in areas of life, whether it's career, family, health, or some are just more broader and general to help us keep our thoughts positive. Like the daily affirmation cards would be a type of oracle card, keeping our thoughts in a positive direction.
So if you had angel cards, how do you get the message? How do you play with them?
So there's a variety of ways, and most come with a booklet. And so the deck of cards that I've created, and is it all right if I bring them up?
Of course.
Okay. So I have a deck of cards that I created, and they're my Archangel Oracle cards, and they come with a booklet. And so in the booklet for the cards that I've created, and most decks have them, it'll show you how to do spreads. So you lay out the cards. It's so simple. It's as easy as this. And I'm just going to pull you a card so everybody can see how to do it. Cool. I'm just going to shuffle. I like holding the cards to my heart, so maybe people can see a little better. And I just set the intention that I'm going to connect to something that you need to hear from your angels. That's as easy as it is. What does Tracy need to hear? That's the intention. So easy to set them. And then I just shuffle and I feel guided. And I like to shuffle this way because it does less damage to the cards, right? Then I cut the deck and we'll just see what comes up. Look at that. This is in the area of health and fitness here. And I know that's your area of expertise, but sometimes even those of us that are experts need a little reminder, right?
Absolutely.
And you can see that the person in the card, she's relaxing. She's taking time out. She's detoxing from stress. She's taking a moment to breathe, perhaps read a book, right? Slow down. Whatever works for you though, Tracy, because for you it might be journaling. It might be taking that time to meditate, maybe getting your cards out yourself and pulling some to reconnect. It's whatever works, a quiet walk, something gentle. So a workout is always a good thing, and I wouldn't discourage it whenever you get a healthful card, but this one really speaks of things that are gentle, slow, reconnecting. Taking that time to get in more water perhaps, or some kind of a smoothie or something even within the body to help it detox along the way. But right along the card, and I'll just read the message here for you, because in my deck, you can just read what's on here to get a message. It says Archangel Azrael, and he's the angel of death, but not death in a weird way. It's in transformation. It's like the butterfly, if you will. And Archangel Raphael, the healing angel, right, are working with your mind, body, and soul to detox from stress. And let's just face it, aren't we all? Isn't this a message for anyone listening here to your podcast? That probably they're listening because they're healthful minded. They come to you for that, for the guidance and their support. And you need some support too. But anybody listening, it's no mistake that this came up. What you can do here with my particular deck and in most decks is that you just go to get further information. And if I go into this part about health, I just find the page and I turned right to it. Isn't that amazing?
Of course you did.
The title is called Relief from Stress, obviously. And I've included in here, as I was guided from the angels to do so, a to-do list. So these are some ideas if someone's like, well, that card doesn't sound like it makes sense for me. But oftentimes there's something on that to-do list that will jump right out to someone. And so this literally even says on here, drink more water, eat healthful organic fruits and vegetables, which I know you do. But sometimes, we just need a little bit of a reminder that this is a great day to get a little bit more in. How about get a massage? Now, you might not be able to go and get one. Convince your husband. Go on a vacation, a staycation, a vacation in your mind. Soak in the tub. Get yourself outside and take a walk. All of those things, because it says go outdoors, meditate, journal your feelings or emotions. Meet with a counselor to help with perspective. Counselor, just saying. Now it's be receptive to an energy healing and spend time with those that you love. And when we say spend time with those that you love, some may be feeling like stress and maybe you need to get on your own a little bit. So I feel like spending some time alone would be really good for you.
That is awesome. What's so funny is this morning I was out walking my dogs at 7. I go to this little nature park. It's 2-mile loop out in nature. And I was listening to Esther Hicks, and I love her. And she's like, stop doing, which is me, and just let it be and feel the joy. And I love starting my day with her because then my vibration comes up. I'm smiling the whole time and it just feels so good. But I heard her say the same things you just said. Like, it's time to just kind of chill a little bit and stop, hustling.
Right. And if you love the hustle, if it uplifts you, jazzes you up, makes you feel alive, or if you spend this much time doing it. But we also need just that time when we're even if we love it, that we're taking some time to take a break and not have to do. I can be very much like that. And people that know me usually describe me as intense. And I'm okay with that. Because it always comes from a minded place with me of caring for others. That's what I love to do. That's why I love giving messages and that's why I love it so much. And so it doesn't feel like a hardship, but we all need a day where we're just playing.
So I agree with that. I actually like what you just said about just to play. Like my husband and I said to him the other day, we need to start doing stuff on Sundays that we connect with. I feel like I'm always out sitting in the pool reading, and he's always doing chores around the ranch. And, it's like we need to have that day, that I noticed that people have been going down to like Pacific Grove and Carmel and Monterey and that area to get, walk on the beach or things like that, So
that's a good thing to do, as long as you feel, we want to feel empowered at this time. And so I do feel people should be getting out and about, but some people, it makes them more fearful. So it's like finding your place to go. If you traveling down to the coast of Carmel, it's going to be great for some people, but staying in their neighborhood for others is going to be great too.
Yeah, I'm just referring to us. Like, I just feel like we need more connection and dates and things like that. But it was funny that you and Esther kind of gave me the same message this morning. So then I know that I have, with our whole quarantine situation, I have taken a few of your classes online. Can you let the listeners know how they can connect with you and maybe take some of your classes, what you have coming up and all that?
I am angelichope.com. So ANGELICHOPE.com is my website, but you can find me at Leanne Thomas Medium, both on Instagram and Facebook. My cards are Angelic Hope cards on Facebook. Of course, you can get them, my deck of cards, through my website, angelichope.com. I do have a class coming up that I've taught it once before, and it filled up in just like an hour and a half. It sold out. And so I have it now online on Zoom. And it's June 13th, Saturday, June 13th. And it's from, I think, 10 to 1. I think it's 10 to 1 Pacific time, so Pacific Daylight Time. And it's called Soul Contracts and Past Lives. And so I talk about, through the thousands of readings that I've given and mediumship and connecting to people's loved ones in the afterlife, like the contracts that we have in life with one another, purpose, soul contract, who's in our life, what's the lesson connected to it. And there's activities to learn what the lessons are connected to people and life purpose, and then past lives and the connection and the things that happen that can show up in this life related to a past life and what it is, and the wisdoms that I've learned through spirit. So it's going to be a fun class. It's fast. It's a couple of hours. It's like kind of the basics or the foundations of that. But I set up a series of classes because the most common questions that I have from people are about past life, their soul contracts, their purpose in life. I have a class coming up in July. It's not quite on the schedule yet, but it will be in July, about journey into the afterlife. Because that's what I get asked almost every reading is, what are my loved ones doing on the other side? And so what's it like in heaven? What's it like over there? And so what happens when we die? I answer all of those things through the thousands of readings that I've given, and what Spirit says about those things. And so those are coming up currently. And I would say just stay tuned for, if you want to jump in on a group reading or an angel party. I have an angel party this Saturday, but it's sold out already. So you kind of have to stay tuned to my Instagram and Facebook, because a lot of times the events go really fast.
Oh, yeah. I remember trying to get in one, and I was like, you were still talking, and I'm like registering for the class because I'm like, I'm not going to miss this one.
What people often do, and when I do classes, particularly in person, I like to keep the numbers really small so that I can connect and reach people. And in my space that I currently have, I don't have room to social distance, so I won't be teaching any in-person classes until we don't need to worry about social distancing. So my classes will all pretty much stay on Zoom for a while, unless I keep them keep some courses really small, like which is the Angel Academy that's coming up. It starts July 27th that you're a part of it. So it's a very comprehensive course, and it's June 27th that it starts. Saturday, June 27th. And it's 10 weeks through Zoom, and then we are going to have a weekend in person with that. And I'm sure that things by around October will start to, I want to say, loosen up. I don't know if that's the right term for it, loosen up. But I don't think we're going to have to worry about wearing masks and social distancing. If we do, we'll figure something else out for that class. But the Angel Academy is for anyone, and not everybody's going to think that it is. Anybody can learn to connect, learn all about them. It's comprehensive. There's a handbook that ends up coming with the course, how to look at cards and read cards very intensively. And I hope that people are interested. Yeah, if they have questions, they can always contact me through my contact page on my website.
Yeah, and I'm doing the class, you guys.
So you have to talk about it and tell people what you think and what you're learning as it comes through or unfolds on your journey and on Instagram and Facebook for you. So I hope you feel free to share that.
I'm very free to share it. I've told several people in my inner circle about it already. And I'm super excited because honestly, like the fact that you told us about it when you did and how exciting that was hearing it from you. I always question my abilities, and I always question, just what I like to make sure, I feel unworthy but grateful that I'm actually going to participate in that class. I'm so excited, like you have no idea. Like I can't wait. Remember, I'm like, why do we have to wait so long?
Right. So to get, like it's, just stuff getting on the schedule. But, I know that people that come to you or that have worked with you or that have even listening to your podcast for a while would know how intuitive you are. And remember how I described, like, I needed to prove it to myself that my gifts were strong and that they were real. And so I went through this testing situation and that testing situation and this one and all of these different things to learn to own it more. And I think that's okay. But I think what's not okay is giving up. What's not okay is not continuing to pursue. And don't you think, Tracy, that this world would be so much better if everyone looked at pursuing their intuitive gifts more? Not that everyone needs to learn how to give a reading to someone, and not that everybody, but for our own personal expansion. So whether you're a nurse or, a doctor, a massage therapist, or say that, you work with clients or customers in any way, having a stronger intuition in any field, teacher, anything, I think expands people and helps you do your job better. I have so many police officers that I read for and take my classes. I have had scientists come to me and say that, because we're here in the Silicon Valley, right? And so they'll come and they'll say, I know energy is real. I know it's something that I can tap into more. I want to understand it better. And sometimes they do their own private lessons. They might not have it in their schedule or things like that to come to a class, but they often end up in a class because they want to meet other people, and they're shocked at what they start to feel, sense, hear, know, whatever it is, however it comes about for them, what we call our clairs, right? Clair, that French word meaning clear, that, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, we come with strengths, and not one is better than another. But it's always nice to find out what ours are.
So what is your strongest clair?
I would say clairaudient, hearing things. I've always, from the I was little, I would hear things. I wake up early in the morning and I'll hear things, or my name being called, or when I'm falling asleep, or I'll be walking down the aisle of the grocery store and I will turn around like somebody just called my name and there's nobody there, right? Or nobody there calling my name, right? Like I'll hear things. But the strength for me is that I didn't understand that that's what was happening when it was first happening to me, but I would start talking back, like, okay, hang on, wait a minute. Like, I was hearing it. And then for me, seeing the pictures and images come through tended to be a strength that followed along after. Every person is clairsentient, meaning that they have clear feelings or empathetic kinds of feelings that rise to the forefront within them. But clairaudient for me kind of stuck out. And as soon as I knew that that's what was happening, I could use that as a strength along with my clairsentience and expand on my clairvoyance. So all of those areas for me feel very expanded. And then claircognizance just comes to me in my moments when I'm not necessarily giving readings. When I'm talking to friends, or I'm just out and about for myself, like I'm walking or I'm out, shopping, doing whatever it is that I'm doing in life, I'll just know something, or I call it a download happens. And that's more of my private or my personal clair, is my claircognizance.
That's so cool.
And I'm not always that wise. I always tell people this is not information from me. I can tell you that, because in my everyday life, I'm a mess. So just like anyone and everyone else kind of thing.
Yeah, perfectly imperfect. I love that term, like even
always
me.
Learn.
Yeah, totally. Always learning. Right now I'm reading the book, You Are a Badass. Have you ever read it?
I have that book. I have not finished reading it. I put it down to grab something else because I'm ADD like that. That's how I'm a little bit of a hot mess. I'll pick one up, I'll read it, I'll do a couple of chapters, I'm into it, something happens, somebody else gives me another book, I have to start that one. So I have it, but I've never finished it.
It is hilarious. So, you and your sense of humor. I love your cute little quirky sense of humor. I was laughing out loud reading this book. So super good. Well, awesome, Leanne. I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show. You know how much I just adore you, and I'm so happy that other people can learn about you, learn about your work, and learn about how they can actually manifest wonderful, abundant things in their life.
And it's so easy. This isn't hard work. It's just so simple. Intention, prayer, and work on your, when you're inspired. Work through things that inspire you, right? Every now and then kick in with a little motivation. But the admiration, Tracy, is absolutely mutual. I adore you. I am so looking forward to our journey together with the angels. And I just want to thank everybody out there. And I hope that you know how much the angels, the spirit world, you are loved. Everyone is valuable. No one is more special than another person. So thank you all.
Okay, that was super fun. Just like talking to an old friend. I hope that you learned something and were inspired to realize that you are not alone. There is an entire spirit team that is here to take care of you. And please go and check out her work, check out her website, take some of her classes, get her cards, and just start being able to manifest with abundance what your heart desires. So if you like the show, please share it with a friend and head on over to the show notes page at highenergygirl.com/show, where you can find links directly to Leanne's websites, and I'll even set up a link for her book. So please also, last request, please head on over to iTunes, leave us a rating and review. And if you know of any great guests that you'd love for me to interview, please email me at tracy@highenergygirl.com. All right, everyone, go out and make it a great day. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.